Good afternoon, all the students. Today we are discussing an important topic, nervous system. So, what is the nervous system? So, the nervous systems is the very important is a helping to maintain the hemostatic. Hemostatic is the balance of the human body. So, is the series of the sensory receptor work with the nervous system to the provide information about the change in the both the internal and external environment. So it can be responsible for the sensory receptor, so it can be maintain of internally body change and externally change of the outside of the body. So the human nervous system is a complex of the interconnected system in which the largest system are the compare of the similar subsystems, so each of the which have the specific structure. So mainly human nervous system has a complex of the interconnected system, so it have the specific structure of the nervous system with the specific function. So it can be a specific function how to a work of the nervous system. So these are the structure and function of the nervous system. So mainly neurons and cell body. So cell body is the main processing of the center of the cells. Mainly it can be a cell body is the main process of the center of the cells in the nervous system. So dendrites is the branches of, so different branch of the systems like a nervous system, brains and other body parts, so it can be interconnected with each others. So this is a branch is the extension of the cell body, so that is conducting a nerve impulse toward in the cell body. And next one is the axon. So axon is a single branch, so in the most neurons which conduct in a nerve impulse, so always from the in the cell body. So all the part is interconnected with each other, so like a cell body, dendrites, axon. So it can be a maintain of the internally body system. So last one is the neurons. It can be generate the impulse transmission like a terminologically, and fibers are the located at the end of the axon. So it can be a last part and end part of the axon is a single branch of the neuron, so it which is conduct in a nerve impulse. So impulse transmission is the terminological, and end fibers are the located at the end of the axon. So there is a transmitter impulse leaving a neuron across a synapse of the next neuron. So I already told you it can be connected to each other. So firstly, one neuron message to a next neuron, and it can be generate the impulse. So these are the structures, so you can easily understand. So firstly, neuron A, it can be interconnected in the neurotransmitter. So neurotransmitter, it can be a connector of the neuron B. So it can be a responsible and transmission of the impulse, one impulse to next impulse. So it can be a maintain of the response to the body. So how to body is a generate of the systematically response. So all neuron have a two basic property. First one is different like a motor nerves and sensory nerve. Sensory nerve is you can feeling of the sense. So firstly, you touch on your hand on the wall, the other surface, you can easily feel. So it can be sensory receptor. So sensory receptor you can feel and like a hot and cold. So it can be a basically example, you can feel of the weather. So motor function is the covering information from the CNS to the muscle and gland. So it can be information from the central nervous system to the muscle and glands. So it can be internally interconnected system. So type of the neuron. So type of the neuron is the cell body, axon, neurofiber node, axon, cell body, receptor cells. So it can be a different type of the neurons. So mainly nervous system, so all the bodily in the activated and voluntary and involuntary, so all the control by the nervous system. So two major is the components Like a central nervous system, you can short form is the CNS, central nervous system. So central nervous system made up of the brain and spinal cord. So two main part of the central nervous system. First one is the brain and second one is the spinal cord. So central nervous system is made up of the brain and spinal cord. I already told you these are the two main part of the, it can be consist of the central nervous system. Second one is the peripheral nervous system. Short form is the PNS. So it can be also made up of the, it can be made up of all the nerve. So that is the lead into the out of the central nervous system. So may I already again I will repeat, central nervous system is made up of the brain and spinal cord. So on the other hand, peripheral nervous system is made up of all the nerves. So that is a lead into the out of the central nervous system. So central nervous systems is a system of the composed of a two major interconnected organ. So brain and spinal cord, it can be organs. So brain and spinal cord. So these organs work together. Work together. It can be work of both and parallel work. So it can be help to each other. So these organs work together to integrate and coordinates sensory and motor information from the purpose of controlling the various tissue, organs and organ system of the body. So the central nervous system is responsible for higher neuronal functions such as the memory, learning and motion. So mainly brain, it can be a control of the central nervous system. So it can be responsible for the neural function. Neural functions such as like a memory. So it can be memorized of the whole the things and what was the working you are today and what is the planning. So learning how to learn. So it can be helpful the learning and emotional your behavior, more sadness behavior, happiness behavior, angry behavior. So it can be also interpreted and it can be depending on the central nervous system. So brain. So mainly brain is a, it can be a little bit difference. So little bit difference in the spinal cord, but brain is the main organ of your body. So we are discuss about little bit brain. So brain is human brains. So weight about 3 pounds in the adult. 75% is of water. So made up of brain. So weight about a 3 pound in the adult. 75% is of water. 20% of oxygen is consumed during a working and containing over the 100 billion neurons. 100 billions neuron in made up of the brain. So it can be a planning of the whole the things. So mainly it can be a control and bodily function and interaction within outside of the world. So mainly the your brain is the powerful of the mind. So mainly it can be a control whole the body. You can a movement, emotion, memory, learning, speaking. So all the control under in the process of your brain. So four main part of the brain. First one is the cerebrum and second was the brainstem, cerebellum, parietal lobes. So these are the different part of the brain. So brain stem, it also important. So brain stem is made up of the midbrain. So it can be present of the present of the neck, and it can be connected to the spinal cord. So mainly brain stem is made up of the midbrains. It can be interconnected with the pons and medulla oblongata. So midbrains is involved in the visual reflection. Like a pons, it can be located between the midbrains and medulla oblongata. So it can be a control the certain response respiratory function. So it can be a control of the respiratory function. So cerebellum is area of coordinating musculoskeletal movement to the maintain of the postures. It can be balance and muscle tone. So it can be cerebrum, it can be maintain of portion and balance and muscle tone. So it can be interaction of the loops and cerebrum. So surveyor and relative center of the sensation like heart, it can be a control of the heartbeat, blood pressure, temperature control, behavior responsible, digestive function, water electrolytes balance. So it can be interpreted and some sensory receptors and some sensory response. So it can be interconnected your brain is the main part of your body, so it can be control the whole body system. So it is made up of the like a skull, pale matter, and some arachnoids. So second one is the spinal cord. So spinal cord is the extend from of the medulla oblongata of the brain to the area around the first limbic vertebra in the lower back. So nerve from the peripheral nervous system is extend out from the spinal cord. So mainly protected by the vertebral column, cerebrospinal fluid, mains. So some layers of the spinal cord like a dura matters, arachnoid matters, pie matters. So these are the some matters, some layer of it can be protect your spinal cord. So on the other hand, what is the peripheral nervous system? So the peripheral nervous system is a short form of PNS, is a collection of the peripheral nerve like a ganglia, specific sensory organ structure that has a system. It can be carry sensory and motor information between the central nervous system and all other organs and tissue of the body. So peripheral nervous system, I already again I will repeat, peripheral nervous system is short form of PNS, peripheral nervous, PNS, peripheral, and for nervous as for system. So it can be a collection of the ganglia. So it can be a specified sensory structure, so that is a systematically, and some it can be a carry of the sensory and motor information between the central nervous system. So all other organ and tissue of the body, it can be a control the other body tissue and bodies and organs. So the peripheral nervous system is some functionally divided into the two major divisions. First one is a sensory, second one is a motor or. So it can be further divided. So first one is the somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. So it can be also part of the peripheral nervous system. So peripheral nervous system consists of 12 pairs of the cranial nerve and 31 pairs of the spinal nerve. So these are the two different pairs. First one is consist of the 12 pair of cranial nerve and 31 pairs of the spinal nerve. So all nerve have a individual function of and it can be play the importance role in your human body. So next lecture we are discuss about the pairs of the peripheral nervous system, and we are discuss of the cranial nervous system and what is the function of each nerve. So thank you very much.